All right, all right, all right. It's Michael Jaco live, a little after 5:05. So there's so much information to gather. I just want to just do research and get deep, and then bring you guys so much information that I've been exposed to for decades and decades, and put it in a very easily understandable pattern. So if we look at sex slaves. All right, so we Jeffrey Epstein. We look at Bob Hope, Bryce Taylor. We look at Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, controlling them. I'm not sure who was controlling Mary Jo Kopechne, the woman that was killed in Chappaquiddick. Ted Kidd involved in that, of course. Kathy O'Brien has claimed that Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia was her handler. So we have not only the handlers, but we also have the assassins that are mind controlled as well. As we've had James Files on talking about a lot of these. He was involved in a lot of these assassinations. Of course, the JFK. He dropped off the guys that basically that went to assassinate Marilyn Monroe. He was involved with Mary Jo Kopechne. He talks about that, how they basically put a bag over her head, suffocated her, threw her in the back seat, and then drove the car into the river. And it wasn't deep enough. I mean, anyone could have crawled out the window, which supposedly Kennedy did, but he didn't. So we'll talk about some of that. I got video on that. Oh my God. And Robert Byrd, of course, he was a KKK guy, and he wasn't the Grand Dragon, but he was up there, I guess, Cyclops or whatever whatever level that he was at. That's the Cyclops, right? But Hillary Clinton called him a mentor. Joe Biden, at his eulogy, his funeral, also called him a mentor. So these guys are being mentored by sex slave controllers that basically have control over presidents. So these women are mind controlled, and they're taught how to, gather information, how to deliver information. We're going to talk about that. Unbelievable stuff. So how much of this deep state operation is in complete control, pretty much, of the government? All right, pretty much completely. The judicial, well, I don't know how much of law enforcement, FBI, CIA, whatever, but there's a lot of it. There's a lot of that control. It's insane. So we're going to dive into that, and we're also going to dive into AI, how we're moving towards AI Terminator type stuff, according to James Cameron, right? And of course, we're talking about the Texas demon rats, right? And Florida now is going to redistrict too, so everybody's going to jump on that bandwagon. There's not going to be any Democrats left in Congress or Senate. I've told you that. So it's just moving that direction. And we'll talk about ICE. Superman has decided to become an ICE agent. So it's great. And we'll talk about ancient, underneath Antarctica, they found ancient forest and all kinds of crazy stuff. All right. So it kind of fits, what I've talked about, how there was a firmament, and I think it was during Atlantis. So they say millions of years. I don't think it was that long. But during Atlantis, there were wars, kind of like, we look at Star Wars, where they had that planet killer that came in. Do we have a planet killer coming to? They called it, I guess, the comet, and now they're saying, oh, even the military is saying, well, we've been in contact with them for a couple of years. We've known. What? So it's crazy. So much stuff is getting revealed. I believe before the end of this year, with all the crazy stuff that's been going on, the earth change stuff that's going to be happening, crazy hurricanes, and deep state, throwing everything they got at us, that at the end, the ET disclosure is going to be real for everybody, right? So it's going to really come out. So we'll talk about a lot of that. But first, let's talk about LifeWave, right? LifeWave is the way to go, right? Become a X39 wearer, and it's going to like reverse the aging process, and so many other things. So I've been doing LifeWave for 3 years. It's the greatest thing I've ever been involved in. So I'd like to see more of you guys get involved in it. We got a cruise coming up in about 11 weeks or so, and hopefully some of you guys will be going with us. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so let's look at this deep state assassins and sex slaves. We're just going to jump right in, right? So I've talked about a lot of this stuff already, but like I said, I like to piece some of this together so more people can understand it. Of course, when I piece some of this stuff together, I get deeper understanding as well. So it helps all of us. Anyone that gets an understanding, a deeper understanding, is going to have is going to impact humanity. You don't have to like talk like I do. You just have that inner understanding, and it radiates out. It's crazy how that works, but it does. All right, so this is Jim Manning. I've had him on. Really, really excellent researcher. He was a former Marine, and he was like, that's they did a hit job on this Marine. I'm gonna clear his name. So that's what he did with James Files. All right. So it's James Files, and of course, because James Files wasn't a Marine, but it was like the Patsy. They like destroy people that work for them. They throw them under the bus. So a lot of these people, get destroyed by the deep state. Look at Marilyn Monroe; they killed her, right? Mary Jo Chappaquiddick, and Kathy O'Brien. They were going to assassinate her, but she was rescued. Yes, I moved from Florida, and I've said that I live in Lake Tahoe now. So, XRP, the SEC case is officially over. So is XRP going to the moon then? Art on the Lake. And Linda, yes, he moved. Mary Jo Kopechny. Thank you, Arlene. Mary Jo Kopechny. All right, so let's look at this. This is insane.
General feeling that the CIA had that no Kennedy's would ever be president. And
now, why would that be? Now, the Kennedys were heavily involved in the mafia, right? All of them. Very, very controlled. Misspelled the title, or am I missing something? What? Yes. Has sex slaves? Yes. So I'll fix that. Let me fix it right now. Now that you say that. Have sex slaves been used? Thank you. So yes, I think you kind of know what I meant, but some people are very critical if one word's out of line. So I'll help you. All right. So now you can focus. All right. So we know that they were involved in the mafia, all of them, and I think all the presidents, to a great extent, even Trump, involved in the mafia. He was in New York. If you live in New York, you're involved in the mafia, right? So, all right. So, and with some form or fashion. I'm just kidding, but it's pretty close. He was in real estate, and he was building buildings, and the mafia is totally involved in the builders and all that stuff. So he had to deal with it. He even talks about it, I think, in his books, how he had a good relationship with them. They had an understanding, right? He took care of them. They took care of him, right? I don't know what that meant. I think he's like, okay, you're not going to take advantage of me, and I'm not going to take advantage of you. I'll pay you well if you do the right work, but don't screw me over. Type. I don't know. So everyone has to deal with mafia. So I work for the CIA. It's mafia, right? I work for the military. It's mafia. So Those of you that work for Microsoft, Mafia. Those of you who work for Amazon, Mafia. So it's just one big Mafia family, and we all work together until we don't. And we start, Mafia dons. If someone gets out of line, they kill them, right? If your sex slave gets out of line, you kill them. If your killer gets out of line, you kill them, right? So it's just kill or be killed, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty sick.
Although it wasn't the CIA in charge of the Robert Kennedy assassination, they were complicit in it. They had a couple of people that were watching it and so forth. But J. Edgar Hoover was calling the shots on that one as well.
So J. Edgar Hoover also involved with the Mafia. And thanks for the memories. That's Bryce Taylor. She talks about how J. Edgar Hoover and some of his buddies, because he was gay, like to dress up in dresses. And they would have special dresses for him and his friends at the Nelson Rockefeller parties that they would throw specifically for them, right? So it's a wacky world out there. They have all kinds of crazy dirt on all these people, and they use it when they need to.
As well as the Martin Luther King one. And then, of course, we have Ted Kennedy. Now, Chappaquiddick, I guess, was designed to stop him one way or another from being a candidate for president.
So he's talking to James Files. James Files on his last days. So he's piecing out Jim Manning, who's speaking here. He's piecing out some of the interview that he did with him. So this is going to be really good. Unfortunately, he was not given, like we were trying to get, immunity from President Trump. But it's just not where he's focused at right now, I guess. So if you look at all of the things that probably James Files is going to, he's already revealed a lot. He's been on, I've done, I think, like five shows with him. He's an incredible revealer of information. I've learned so much from him, and I know he's only given me a sliver of what he's got, right? And all of us, he's only given us a sliver. So if he'd been given full reign, the amount of information that he could have revealed on the Clintons and all kind of crazy stuff would have been unbelievable, right? So I think that Jim Manning got him to reveal, and he's not going to reveal that information until, unfortunately, James Files' death, right? So you can see James Files. He looks very frail. He looks like he's close, unfortunately. But, you never know. I got him on the LifeWave patches, so maybe he's going to last a little bit longer. So they thought he was going to die a long time ago, but he's still kicking it, right? So it can extend your life a lot longer, or it may be just a little bit longer, but every day counts, right? All right, so patriotism unhinged is a great phrase. It's great verbiage, right? So we are patriots, and we're getting to the point where we're about to become unhinged, right? Because all of the lies of deceit and manipulation and control from the controllers, deep state, is getting us to the point where we're ready to kick their ass, right? So it is. But fortunately, it seems to be unraveling for them. So I'm kind of happy about that.
And can you tell us a little bit about who was involved?
Well, I was in Florida down there, and Frank Sturgis came by the house one day, and he said, "Chip, you want to bag me up?" I said, "Sure." So I just went out and got in the car and took off. He said, "Let's go." Right.
Okay, Frank Sturgis. We've talked about him. This is Frank Sturgis here. He was also military, like James was. Most of the Assassin 40, and then eventually the Assassin 70, because I guess they had a lot of stuff to take care of. They need more than 40. All right, so Frank Sturgis here. Talk about United States Marine Corps, and served under Colonel Red Mike in the 1st Marine Raider Battalion in Pacific Theater during the Second World War. So then Wild Bill Donovan started to do guerrilla actions and so forth. He was with him, Merrill's Marauders. So he's high up. He did a lot in the military, and then you get out of the military, and then you're like, what do I do now? No one cares, right? So no one cares that I was like an exceptional killer and for my country. But the CIA, they have a way. They have a way of knowing these things, and they have something for you. So he was pulled in to be part of the Assassin 40. Of course, Assassin 40 was part of George H.W. Bush Sr.'s. He was the one that put all these guys together. And of course, he got rewarded. He became the head of CIA and then eventually, of course, president.
We got on the plane. We flew up there to Boston. And we was on the plane, looked over and said, "You never asked me what we're going to do." I said, "Hell, I don't care." I said, "You got my back. You bail me out anytime in trouble." And it's like I mentioned in the first interview, Frank Sturgis bailed me out of trouble in Mexico, and it wasn't jail that he got me out of. And so anyways, whatever Frank wanted to do, I always had his back. So we got it.
So just like in the military, you help each other out. And when you're helping each other out, you're, just always got each other's back. So that's one of the things they wanted, obviously. That's why they hired military guys to be part of this assassination group, right? And it wasn't just assassination of presidents, I guess, like JFK. It was also assassination, like he's talking about, of Ted Kennedy's sex slave, right? She was getting out of line, and he called it out, and so they sent a team to handle her.
There, they found out what we was going to do, and then Hunt was there. Hunt met us there, and so anyway, the story goes where Ted was supposed to bring Mary Jo out there to meet us, and the story was that Ted was to tell her that somebody wants to talk to you, but she had no idea she was going to be killed. And Ted didn't have no idea either. And so he brought her out there. Frank Sturgis, he put his hands down to her side and he held his hands flat. If you grab somebody like that, you're leaving in front of her.
So that's another thing that James Files, he talks about how assassin people, right? So he's saying that you don't grab the target like this because you'll leave marks, bruises, and so forth. So these guys are expert at killing, right? They learned it in the military, and now they're doing it for the CIA or whoever hires them, right? They're assassins for hire. So they come in and clamp her arms with their hand, like you're saying, with their hands like that, and then they put a bag over her head and suffocate her.
The blood stopped circulating. But laying it flat, you don't leave no marks. So he's holding the girl's hands, her arms are by her side, and Hunt put the bag over her head and suffocated her. The girl was dead when she was put in the car.
Okay.
My job was to drive the car off the bridge.
Uh-huh.
And the water wasn't as deep as they thought it was, or I thought it was. But before I got in the car, put the window down, because underwater, you don't know if you're going to get it down or not. It's going to work. So anyway.
So that's another thing that these guys are very skilled at. They have such deep insight on how to run their operations. So if you know you're going into the water, all right, roll your windows down, because sometimes they won't roll down. But if you do get trapped, you can go into the back. The back window is the one that you can break. The front window, you're not going to break that and get out, right? It's all safety glass. And you're probably not going to get out. You may get out the side windows, but they're going to be jagged. So the one way you get out is you punch the back. Now, this is so a lot of people know that. So a lot of people thought that she was in the back trying to get in that then there's breathing room back there. So with that air pocket that usually gets trapped there, you can like pull off the back of a headpiece and use the metal to break the window and get out. So There you go. I gave you, that might save a lot of lives out there. So,
But they wanted it down, and the car didn't sink all the way. And she was in the back seat. Now, a lot of people allege that she was in the back seat because there's air back there and she's trying to breathe all she could. Well, if Ted Kennedy could, big as he was, if he could crawl out that window and get there, there's no reason that Mary Jo couldn't come out this window behind it.
Sure.
Survive. And he should have seen her get out first. But she was already dead. She was in the back seat. But there was no water in the lungs. So they know she didn't drown. But anyway,
so there was no water in her lungs. So how did she drown? Because that's what they say. Yeah, she was murdered, right? Because she was getting out of line. And that's what they do to the sex slaves if they get out of line. And then they tell the other sex slaves, like they told Bryce Taylor. They told Bryce Taylor, do you want to end up like Mary Jo Kopechne at Chappaquiddick? So this is how they mind control their slaves. They even told Bryce Taylor, because she was sex slave to JFK. And when he was killed, they told her, we can kill the president of the United States if he gets out of line. We decide if he lives or dies. And we decide if you live or die if you get out of line. So it's always a mind control for all these people.
the way she come out there, Frank held her arms aside, held the bag overhead. They killed her, put her in the car. I got in the car, drove the car off the bridge. Before we drove the car, then Frank got on top with a ball band. He danced in the top of the car because the car was supposed to turn over, but the water wasn't deep enough for it to turn.
All right. So Frank got on top of the car with a baseball bat, and beat the top and beat the windshield, as you're going to see. So it looks like it rolled. And maybe she got knocked out and she drowned without any water going into her lungs. Right. So now look at the picture of the car. So that's the baseball bat and so you don't see any damage on either on the sides, because if a car is rolling, you're going to have damage on the sides. All right, I guess they really didn't like that. They shut me down for a little while there. That's a little okay. You're getting out of line. We're going to shut you down. Kind of like the mind control stuff. They yanked my chain right there. They shut everything down. All right. So anyway, that's what happened there. All right. So that is the story. That's one of those instances of a sex slave, and then you have your assassins go in, clean the sex slave, and you have your Senator Kennedy that from that point on, you control him. So every time that every time that he tried to run for president, they'd always bring up Chappaquiddick. Why did you wait so long to go tell everybody that she had drowned? Because those guys had to get off the island, and the ferry didn't come till 6:00, so they had to wait 2 hours. The ferry came, they got on the ferry, they left, and then he could go talk to the sheriffs. That's why it took him so long, right? So how long have you wondered? For me, I've wondered about that since it happened. I don't know. It's like happened, the 60s, whatever. I was a little boy. I was like, that doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. I was no dummy. So, but a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, she drowned. No, she didn't drown. She was suffocated. And because she got out of line. And so who else has gotten out of line? Marilyn Monroe. All right. So we're going to go into a lot of this. So the Operation 40 group, if you look at, and sometimes they're called the Assassin 40 I've talked about this. James Files has talked about this. We felt Ole Damagard has talked about this. So a lot of us know this stuff, and we're passing this information on to you. So the Operation 40, all right? 11 December. Yeah, it probably happened right on that date, right? No, probably not. But anyway, around that time frame, 1959, Colonel, right? The military is involved. Joseph Caldwell King, chief of CIA's Western Hemisphere Division. You remember Kennedy, shit can Allen Dulles, but he was still in charge. He still, was part of course, the FBI under Gay J. Edgar Hoover was the one, and I don't care about gayness, whatever, I don't care. But everyone thinks he was a straight guy, but he was a funky man, right? So, and he's trying to be all prim and proper and straight, and behind the scenes is dressing up in dresses and sex parties, all kind of crazy stuff. So these guys are like crazy, and that's probably how they controlled him. So he was in charge of the assassination mainly, and he was in charge of assassinating many people. Our FBI guy, head of the FBI, was in charge of assassinating all these people. Martin Luther King, JFK, Robert Kennedy, all of these. Of course, they had CIA involvement, but the CIA was mostly watching, and if they needed some help, the CIA would give it, right? So Allen Dulles established Operation 40, the 40 Assassins, right? The group was presided over by Richard Nixon, right? So all these guys are involved in this stuff, guys. George Bush was the one that basically got all these guys. So it says Edward Hoover, and signed November 1963, which reads Mr. George Bush of the CIA. So Bush worked for the CIA to cooperate in funding the nascent anti-Castro groups. Of course, they called it whatever they want. So it says Barry and the boys, the CIA, the mob, and American secret history. So a lot of this stuff has been talked about. A lot of this stuff has been exposed, or people have tried to expose it, and then they get killed. All right. So, and that's the way this stuff works. So here he is, Frank Sturgis. According to Daniel Hopsicker, the following were also involved in Operation 40. Barry Seal, the guy that was flying the plane loads of cocaine and arms and people from the, I guess, I don't know, Central America into Mina Airport. Of course, the Clintons were there during that time frame. So American Made did the movie American Made. That was about Barry Seal. Barry Seal, of course, committed suicide by shooting himself twice in the back of the head. But according to James Files, that's not what happened. He was hit by a hail of bullets by a group of assassins. So that's what I said. The assassins get out of line, and they're called in. They tried to kill James Files many times. James Files talks about how, they came after me, and I killed all the people that tried to kill me, and then they throw me in prison. And this was Hillary Clinton, because he pissed Hillary Clinton off somehow. And we know the long, kill list of Hillary Clinton. That she was obviously had a lot of control. I've talked about that, how when I was in the CIA, Hillary Clinton came in and restricted our CIA when she was department. Of course, she supposedly killed John because he was going to be the senator of New York. And then she came in and took that position. And then she came into the State Department. She ran for president against Barack Obama. And they're like, no, it's not your time. This is his time. And you're just going to step aside. We're going to give you a cushy job at the State Department. And so that's where she went. And I guess to diss the CIA or get some kind of control, because those of us that were in charge of security, you could not go overseas and not have good security. Benghazi is a good example because we were being restricted. They didn't have enough of us, me, type of security. They were restricting us from going over. So that was Hillary Clinton. So, and then that happened, and so crazy stuff. So when you know the stuff on the backside, guys, it's how do you get it all out there? It's just so much. So let me get back to focusing on this. All right. So Operation 40. Boy, talking about this stuff is tough. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. All right. So you never know exactly what's going to happen with these guys. It's a challenge. So when you're challenged, you just press ahead. You find something else, and then you find back. Yes, I'm back, and who knows when they're going to take me out again. But back and forth. That's the way we run these operations against the deep state. All right. So let me go deeper down the rabbit hole. See how much I can expose here before somebody busts in the door and takes me out. All right. So that's not going to happen. But anyway, so trauma-based mind control. Let me give you just a little taste of that. She's been on my show many times, and Kathy O'Brien has talked about this in detail. Kathy O'Brien and her daughter Kelly were victims of Project Monarch. Fortunately, they were rescued by Mark Phillips. Right, so she talks about that in O'Brien's time as a mind-controlled slave. So Mary Jo Kopechne, mind-controlled slave, got out of line, so they killed her. All right, this happens a lot. You probably start to see it now that we're starting to talk about it. Now this is the important thing right here. She was also a courier. Monarch slave personalities have exceptional memories. They're trained to, and they carry messages. But once they carry their messages, like Bryce Taylor talks about, she was taken to Disneyland quite a bit as a little girl. And she was put on that one ride, and it would be like in the middle of the night, and they would like mess with her. It's a small world after all. And that song would go through her mind when she was sent overseas or something. It's a small world after all. And she would just think she's just gone on a Disney ride. She doesn't go to like be a courier for these high level presidents and so forth. Crazy. So she's taking messages, she's receiving messages, and she's taking them back to her handlers. For her, of course, it was Bob Hope, and who was the other guy? Well, Bob Hope. So we'll just stick with him. So she had other hands. Frank Sinatra sometimes, like, I guess Frank Sinatra was very cruel, right? Very cruel and brutal to her. That's what she says. And these guys get off on, doing that kind of stuff. So she said Ted Kennedy was like that also. Ted Kennedy was brutal and very, very bad. Kathy O'Brien said that which president was it? It wasn't Reagan. It was who replaced Reagan, or maybe before Reagan. I think it was before Reagan. I can't think of his name, but she said that one of the presidents that she was sent into was brutal as well. So LBJ, it might have been LBJ, I don't know. So she goes on to say they carry messages that their handlers don't want written down. So they're like a carrier pigeon, right? But there's no written message. They speak it, and then they're programmed to like forget because something triggers them. Like Bryce Taylor said that when the the Secret Service guys that were handling keeping the president safe, they were also part of knowing that what they needed to say to her. So they're in on it too. So, we've seen Hillary Clinton and Dan Bongino used to like, Dan, tell us the truth, right? So he's not going to. He knows he'll die within a split second if he does. But we see these guys, these Secret Service guys. Now, I never did this bullshit, right? I was on the up and up. And me and my teams, they did not manipulate us. We told them the way things were going to work. We would keep them safe, and that's the way it was going to be. And they sometimes asked us to play like other games, and we're like, no, that's not what we're trained for. We don't know them. We know you. We protect you. That's it. So now these sex slaves, whatever they're told to do, they do because they're mind control, and they don't get paid. They're slaves. If they would get paid for the job they're doing, they'd all be like billionaires. It's like, it's crazy what they do. So she says, she comes on to say she had been a presidential model slave, and as such was entrusted to carry messages between heads of state. She says her owner was Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia. All right. So they all have, they're trained from a very early age. Their parents are involved in that training process, that mind control. Bryce Taylor says how her parents would take her to, remember that Jungle Cruise? Some of you don't, maybe you've never been to Disney World or Disneyland, but there's a Jungle Cruise. And I thought, oh, that's so fun. She was put on there, and she was like wrapped up like 7 times, and she had to like that nursery rhyme while she's being wrapped in the rope. Ring around the roses, or 1, 2, pick up sticks, 3, 4, shut the door, 5, 6, whatever. So they're wrapping her with a rope, and she has to say that. Then they throw her off the back of the boat, and they drag her in the water. She has to hold on the rope and stay up. And they tell her, there's alligators on your right, there's alligators on your left. So they're like creating fear and trauma in her. It's like, wow. And then they get her out, and they're like, okay, this is the message you're going to take, and you're very special, and you're going to do this. Wow. That's how they screw up their minds. They fracture their minds. They compartmentalize their minds. In this compartmentalized mind, James Files has the same thing. James Files has unbelievable memory of all the things that he was involved in. So I'm like, how do you remember all this? I even asked him, I said, do you have like special memory training? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So, I guess so. And so the sex slaves, the assassins, all these people have this MK Ultra mind control, guys, like all the Democrats, right? I'm just going to keep throwing those Democrats under the bus, right? Until a few of them wake up. I don't think a lot of them are, all right? So it is what it is. I know a lot of people that were former Democrats, and they've awakened. So it does happen. And I'm working hard to make that happen. Even with them shutting down my internet while I'm running, information. All right. Senator Robert Byrd. He was Kathy O'Brien's handler. So he was not a Grand Dragon, but he was part of the Ku Klux Klan. They admit that, right? Yes, he was a Democrat, because Democrats started the Ku Klux Klan to get black people from voting Republican. So this redistricting stuff that the Republicans are trying to do now, yeah, because you guys have been like doing KKK stuff, trying to like control the vote, and you're like, we do that so that we can have, these black districts, and so we can have white districts. No, we're all Americans. We're not black, white, and all that bullshit. We're Americans first, right? So that's the way the Democrats play these bullshit games. We redistrict so we got our mind control slaves, the blacks and the Hispanics. Now, blacks and Hispanics are like, F you guys. We know you're mind controlling us. We're out. So they're coming out of the Democrat Party on a massive scale. Not that the Republican Party is all that great. It's better, but not much. Same thing. You have to like find good people. Just because Republicans don't make them good. No, not at all. So Robert Byrd. Hillary Clinton expressed admiration for Senator Byrd after his passing in 2010. So yeah, he's a Ku Klux Klan leader, and he's involved. He has a mind control slave. Hillary Clinton probably had some of that. She did, actually. She and Bill were with Bryce Taylor, and probably Robert Byrd sent her to them. So yeah, she's very thankful for his contributions, because she would bring him cocaine and crazy stuff, right? Crazy, cray. So she praised him as a true American original, my friend and mentor, and highlighted his contribution to the Senate and West Virginia. Now, there was, back in the 60s, early 60s, civil rights that was trying to be passed. He opposed that because he's a good KKK guy, right? So he doesn't want blacks to have the vote. He doesn't want blacks to have equal rights. No. But then later, he did. So that's like someone, has sex with a very young minor, right? And then later, they're like, trying to help minors in like hospice or something, and not hospice, but what's that one program where they traffic children? It's the that's funded by the governments, right? So Child Protective Custody, whatever, that group services, CPS. So he's like a child, and then he's like, I'm just giving you this example. Now he's like promoting CPS. So he was KKK. Did he ever stop? I don't think so. So he was KKK, and he was against civil rights because that's not what KKK is about. And then he is. So it's okay now. No, these guys are evil, and there's 555 watching. So that's like confirmation, right? What I said was right. 555 watching. All right. So it's a shit show out there, guys. And the whole system has to be exposed. So we get a little bit of, we'll take down the Democrat Party, so there's nothing left, and then we'll start looking at the Republican Party, right? And whatever replaces the Democrat Party should not be another Democrat Party, because that's the way they work this. It's like, oh, look, we defeated the Nazis. Operation Paperclip. The Nazis come to America, right? So, and they go to Brazil, and they take over Brazil. Don't cry for me, Argentina, where they have all those, Bavarian villages in Argentina. And you ask any Argentinian, and they'll tell you, oh, yeah, the Nazis are there. So they tell you, yeah, but I'm not involved with them. But they're there. And the Perones, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, they were heavily involved with the Nazis, right? They put them in power, and then the people are like, get them out of there. They're bad. So they found out. New World Germany. That's right. That's pretty much what we're in. So something strange is happening underneath Hollywood. So we're just going to now we're going to take it over to Hollywood, right? We'll take it over to Hollywood. Of course, we've got the singers, we got Frank Sinatra, and we got Bob Hope, who are basically sex slave controllers, right? And we'll go over to Hollywood, and they're controlling Hollywood, like Frank Sinatra controlled Marilyn Monroe. He was her controller, right? And controller like sex slave controller. Wow. All right, so let me give you a little bit before we jump into that. I'm gonna give you a little bit of what Bryce talked about in her book. Thanks for the memories, Bob. Thanks for the memories until we meet again. And now when you hear that, you're going to think about him as a sex control slave, bastardo, and he was a very evil person, right? So Bob sent her to LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, right? After Kennedy was assassinated. So she was with the Kennedys. And she and her daughter, just like Kathy O'Brien and her daughter, so they just it's in the family. They just keep these things going, guys. She says, LBJ told me that the White House was a very lonely place to live and that he really wasn't very happy there. He said, because of all those things that go on there in those tunnels underneath that White House, he said he was most at home in Texas at his ranch. Occasionally, he had meetings there and other men were present. I had to give oral to many of them. I was usually there for one overnight and then driven back to town by limo, then flown home. Before I was put on the plane to California, the men in suits, Secret Service guys, Dan Bongino, always took me for a Coke and French fries at McDonald's. This was part of my programming to believe I was at McDonald's in California, so I wouldn't remember where I really was. The fries and Coke were delicious since my programming required that I was food deprived. So she was starved before, because that's part of her programming, before and during the time of my use as a sex slave, right? Then the men put me on a plane with suggestions to sleep and forget. And that was part of her wipe, her memory wipe. Because of our programming, my mom never noticed I was gone, and neither did I, not until 1991. So this is going on for like decades, where she's being, not decades, but well over a decade. No, she says right here, over 25 years later. So she and her mom didn't even know they were being used. Right? And then she basically, woke up and started having the deprogramming, like Kathy O'Brien. So she talks about Bob Hope, and Henry Kissinger is also was her handler. So she says, by the time I was 18, I was in operation heavily. So she's carrying messages back and forth. She's being used as a sex slave with Bob Hope, California Governor Ronald Reagan. Kathy O'Brien's also talked about how she was involved with Ronald Reagan. She said he was nice compared to the other ones. President Nixon and Henry Kissinger, of course, who was her handler, of course, they partook as well. They all knew I had what they called expanded faculties. So they're in these different, because I think her family was CIA too. And because I've had other women on that talked about how their families were CIA and they turned them into sex slaves as well. Right? Have so many guys. They're trying to come out and tell us. And I appreciate that. And I hope you guys do too. Although I don't have a lot of viewers right now, so this is obviously not a very popular subject. So, for example, during the time Reagan was governor of California, I was flown to Reagan's ranch to have sex with him and deliver him messages. I know this is tough because some of these people we thought were great, and they are great in some ways, right? Then I was flown to the White House to have sex with Nixon and deliver messages from the council. So I've read through a lot of this. I haven't found out who the council is, right? But I think we can kind of guess. The multi-billionaires and so forth. The council was overseeing all this. That would be the Rockefellers and the Rothschild and so forth. They debriefed me after each assignment and reprogrammed me in light of the information I reported. So she was skilled in, like, she would deliver a message like, they want you to do so and so. What do you think? And she would read them. She knew how to read them. Like, I can look at someone, I can read them. All right. On an intuitive level, on a physical level, the way they talk, their mannerisms, their eye contact. So I can get a lot of information from people too. Very skilled in these areas. So she talks about that. She talks about how she would remember everything, where they got, like, they hesitated before they talked, if their voice changed. And if the voice changed, she would report that back, and they were like, they had a problem with that. Okay, now we know how to push, where to push. All right. So, and this could be a process over probably long periods of time. So she is just one sex slave. So you got Kathy O'Brien was another. And I've had many other women on my show that were part of this process too. So out of some of these women didn't know the other ones. And probably none of them did. Probably none of them knew the other ones. It's all compartmentalized. The information they got was compartmentalized. The information they traveled was compartmentalized. And then they were programmed to forget it. All right. So this is the way these things work. So she goes on to talk about all that. Ronald Reagan and Bob Hope were connected through the entertainment field. All right. So we know, Reagan and his monkey movie. So I like Reagan. I thought it was great. I thought it was, if I look back, I was like, Trump, Reagan, and I can't think of anybody else after that. I can't even think of number 3, unless I go back in time and I say, Washington. All right. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. All right. Hope and Kissinger utilize, the Kennedy family. They use them. So she goes in as a maid at the parties, the Kennedy parties. And she says certain things, and certain things are said to her, and she goes into a room with a Kennedy, right, and has sex with him. So they know what to say to her. She says things. Says, my daughter Kelly was prostituted to the younger Kennedy men. They had lots of boys. The Kennedy boys were taught early how to handle their women. And I was there to teach them about sex, and they were learning how to handle a slave. They knew they could have anything they wished from me, and that I was totally subservient. They were told they weren't old enough to be trusted with the full mind-controlled information. So the Kennedys were mind-controlled as well. So they were mind-controlled, and they were given mind-control information. Right? So it's just crazy, right? So Kelly and I sometimes work together at the Kennedys. Sometimes Ted liked to have the mother-daughter sex team that our controllers programmed us to be, right? So all the Kennedy brothers, JFK, Ted, Robert, had sons, and she goes on to talk about how the sons were involved as well. So Joe Kennedy was big in business and had holdings that were well connected. What I overheard was that when their money was connected, it was protected and thereby guaranteed a place in the power structure. But the money, the big money, had to come before a person was accepted. The theory was that if a person could amass money, then it proved they were smart enough. And if they knew how to get it connected, then they were pliable enough. And if they followed through on what was asked of them, they could become rich and famous. So if someone's coming up in the world, they're probably approached by the sex slaves or whatever. And and then they're compromised. That was the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. That was the Hugh Hefner stuff. Because remember, Hugh Hefner, his first Playboy centerfold was Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was America's darling. And that was a shocker when she posed nude. But that was to get Hugh Hefner involved. So we know now that Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Mansion was basically videoing different people having sex. And then that was used against them, right? We've even had Juan O'Savin talk about how that was used by someone that he knew. And that they, I guess, had a library, excuse me, in the tunnel system that went to someone else's house, and they found some of these videos that his acquaintance, his friend or whatever, was involved in. And that's back in his early days where he's like, we went to Playboy Mansion, and, the Playboy centerfolds were like beautiful and hot, and they like want to have sex with you and have sex with them. And you didn't know they were being videoed, but later on, they were like, yeah, we got video of you having sex, and we're going to like, now that you're rich and famous, we're going to control you, right? So I guess even though Hugh Hefner was no longer there, Playboy Mansion is being gutted, I hear. I don't know what's going on there. But and that's how they're finding all the tunnel systems. Even though that was going on, they still had some of these videos stored somewhere. So because they were stored somewhere, they still used them to get money from this guy, right? And he paid it, right? So he wouldn't expose it, or his wife and family wouldn't be exposed to it. But that's crazy, right? Still going on. All right, so let's go down the rabbit holes from Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion. Rabbit holes that spread out underneath LA, right? And now I'm going to bring up Donut, because Donut is basically he's on top of this stuff and exposing some very, very good stuff as usual. If you haven't subscribed to Donut, I highly recommend you go over there and subscribe, because he is crushing it. Now, he had a long video about this. Something strange is happening underneath Hollywood. Now, this is about a 7-minute and 30-second video. He's got it, he does hour-long shows and has his own Patreon and so forth. I'm part of his Patreon because I like to get the good stuff. All right, so let's listen.
Tunnel. Now, the Chateau Marmont, tons of secrecy. This is where rituals go down, and it is tied into Marilyn Monroe, being the Hollywood Babylon sacrifice, and the connection.
So, Marilyn Monroe, the sex slave used to compromise presidents. She got out of line, and they killed her. And James Follis talks about how he delivered the guys to the airport that went to kill her, right? Because she was getting out of line with the Kennedys. Because she's a sex slave, she does all the Kennedys, right? Yeah, it's sad, I know, but I mean, she, like I said, she was America's darling, but she was a sex slave, guys.
Under the Silver Lake. What's underneath LA? But as you can see,
all right, underneath the Silver Lake. So it's a movie, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. So that movie has, and I'll let him disclose it, but it has someone that's very prominent right now, that's also blonde, has a voluptuous body, and wears jeans.
Here's Marilyn Monroe, and they were really showcasing Marilyn Monroe in Under the Silver Lake. But in Under the Silver Lakes, this occult movie shows Marilyn Monroe as one of the main figures with the 3 girls. And one of these 3 girls is Sydney Sweeney. So here's Marilyn Monroe.
All right. So this movie, Under the Silver Lake, very similar, and has this new hottie, Sweeney, with the jeans, and she's like shooting at the range, and everybody's talking about her. Even on one of the Fox News Live, the 5 or whatever, they were saying that Barron should marry Sweeney, and it was like the perfect, power couple. Yeah. So they're just planting all these seeds, aren't they?
Was given a dog called Moth for the mafia. It's a Knights of Malta dog. It's a Maltese dog. Under the Silver Lakes, she is carrying around a Maltese dog. The same thing that Marilyn Monroe also had, as she was gifted a Maltese given by Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra. Look at that cat, man. Yeah, he was her handler. He was a bad, bad man. He was very abusive to Bryce Taylor, probably all the little sex slaves that he was handling.
Sinatra is literally a Knights of Malta. How a fake French castle became California's scandalous celebrity hangout. It was same-sex attractive pool parties over there. People died. Seems to be ritualistic. I was looking at the Tesla diner because Elon has his boring company. It's straight boring. What it does is they dig these tunnels underneath the ground. Tesla diner's on the same street on Hollywood. It's the heart of Hollywood. And it's just 21 blocks down from the Masonic Lodge. But the Chateau Marmont, having these underground tunnels that were discovered, Britney Spears, this is when she had the ambulance called on her. Accidentally, I just started researching hotels. The first motel was created by somebody part of the Theosophical Society of Helen Blavatsky in California, because the sixth root race, according to their ideology that they believe, is that this subterranean race is going to come out of the ground out of LA. The motel industry literally was created by an occult order in California. New MAGA hero, Trump's euphoria. We got to talk about them jeans, though. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people know this, but the foundations of Gates, you know who I'm talking about. I'm going to kind of just say other words, but Bill, well, they did big speeches at Sydney Sweeney's high school.
Sydney Sweeney, that's very keen.
You see what I did there, right?
Sydney Sweeney's connection to Sharon Tate, as they both do have the Sampaku eyes, but Sharon Tate and the Manson murders, right? We're talking about Marilyn Manson, right? It's all connected. The Manson murders happened August 9th and 10th, the helical rising of Sirius. We're coming up on a full moon, August 9th. Just like August 9th and 10th, this is when
So the Charles Manson, Sharon Tate murders, and we have Marilyn Monroe. So you have that wacky singer, Marilyn Manson, right? So the pop culture, Hollywood, these dog stores, as he's showing here, all these dates. Now, the reason why I wanted to really push this, guys, is because we're coming into the dates where all of this goes down, from the 8th through the 12th of August. That's where a lot of deaths and murders happen.
Free hung himself, and Rob Williams hung himself as well. This is the helical rising of Sirius rituals. Here's Sharon Tate, Sampaku eyes underneath, just like Marilyn Monroe. Princess Diana had the Sampaku eyes, right? The blue eyes of Sydney Sweeney. Sampaku eyes, the legend of the melancholy gaze and the unfortunate fate of Lady Diana and Marilyn Monroe. Elton John, Candle in the Wind. This was very popular in 1997, and it was dedicated to Princess Diana and Marilyn Monroe. White Rose of York, going back to the War of the Roses in the Tudor dynasty, predating the Illuminati. Vanity Fair is Beelzebub. You know, the demon fly? Vanity Fair is a fictitious place ruled by Beelzebub. So Sunset Boulevard, where the Chateau Marmont Hotel is located, where secrets, scandals, crazy stuff going on at this hotel on Sunset Boulevard. Billy Wilder was trying to expose something sort of like Stanley Kubrick was with the movie Sunset Boulevard. Guess when this movie was released? On the helical rising of Sirius. August 10th, and the day centering upon it, the ritual day, even the Son of Sam serial killer, who was talking to his demon dog, these are the dog days, was arrested August 10th as well.
All right. So we're coming into the dog days of where they do all this ritual killing. Are they going to do ritual killing and have some crazy earth change or something event? So just be heads up.
There was also a Sunset Boulevard serial killer on the Sunset Strip, Doug Clark. Guess what date he was arrested? So August 11th, he was arrested. The helical rising of Sirius this year falls on August 11th. So his movie Sunset Boulevard, I believe, was exposing some of these rituals that we see. Here is the swimming pool that we were showing in the beginning with Marilyn Monroe and Under the Silver Lakes. The swimming pool, the drowning rituals, Matthew Perry in the hot tub, drowning. The list goes on and on. But the most craziest part with these underground tunnels from the Chateau Marmont, the hotel we're talking about, the rumor had it for decades and decades that the underground tunnel went straight to the Players Club Hotel. The Players Club Hotel also has these secret tunnels. And the Players Club Hotel was created by Preston Sturges. Have you ever heard of Preston Sturges, who created it? He was a famous actor. He was in movies. His mama was the co-author of Aleister Crowley's magnum opus. She was banging Aleister frickin' Crowley. She was doing it and doing it and doing it again with frickin' Aleister Crowley and co-wrote his magnum opus. Billy Wilder commented on the Chateau Hotel, and he said that they have wonderful bathrooms. And here's just some more genes, how they're very sketchy. This is in Under the Silver Lakes, where they're showing the sketchy advertisements. Scroll looking up. And then she'll have the Chappaquiddick eyes because she's looking up because it resembles fellatio. So speaking of these tunnels, they both have these secret tunnel systems. Under the Silver Lakes, they...
Diddy's secret tunnel to Playboy. Wow. So it's all connected. So you got Diddy, you got Hugh Hefner, and now and then it moved to Jeffrey Epstein. Who's handling it now? Somebody is. Somebody's the new Epstein. Somebody's the new Diddy. It didn't stop. So who is it? Who's going to be exposed? Are we going to be able to expose them? Or is this stuff going to just keep continuing?
Show the Playboy magazine. The Wednesday show is going to be good, but you see she has the Chappaquiddick eyes. Wednesday is pretty much Odin. It's Woden's day. Inside the infamous Chateau Marmont. That's Natalie Wood was 16 when she was there. The star of Rebel Without a Cause. Rebel Without a Cause is all over Under the Silver Lakes. That's like the guy famous for the blue jeans. Jay-Z and Beyonce wanted to mind VIPs at secret Oscar party at the Chateau. John Belushi died at the hotel when he was 33. Marvin Gaye, he owed the Chateau $15,000 and then he was assassinated. In 2018, Quincy Jones claimed Gaye had been sexually involved with Marlon Brando, the Godfather. Helmut Newton, he freaking died at this hotel. So this is 100% proof of ritual.
All right. Donut. Crushing it. So that's really good. Now let's look at Under the Silver Lake. Under the Silver Lake. Who were the people that were involved in that movie? So that movie came out in May 15, 2018. And kind of like that drowning ritual thing. Drowning. Watch the water. Tsunamis. All right. Los Angeles. So better be watching the water. So you guys in LA, Hollywood, and the rest of California. So who was in this movie? Who was in the movie? Look at that. Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney. So I wonder if she's a slave like Marilyn and got the O'Brien and Bryce Taylor and Mary Jo Kopechne. So I don't know. But it's interesting how all this relates, isn't it? So this is interesting how this goes down. It says Sarah. I'll read the highlight part. Sarah and her roommates were Sevence's wives, having faked their deaths, and because we know a lot of people were faking deaths, in like Epstein, and already been sealed underground. How about that? And so the homeless king, who was annoyed by dog biscuits in his pocket, the dog days of summer, serious. I'm serious. So, yeah. So now James Cameron, speaking of Hollywood, Jamie boy, Jamesy, Cameron, Terminator, and remember the Terminator movies? Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. And I guess he's talking AI. It's like, remember that if they weaponize AI, we're going to get Terminator stuff. Yeah. Sounds like we're going to have to like do away with AI at some point. We need a solar flash. We're going to need a solar flash. So I wonder if those aliens that are coming in on that supposed comet that the military already knows about, I guess they've known about it for years. So is that the good military knew about it or the bad military or both? Maybe both. I say both, right? Because the bad military was going to use it, but the good military and the white hats have been exposing it. And now they probably won't have, like they did for COVID, half the people brainwashed into believing that it was good. So 80% got vaccinated. I don't see 80% falling for a fake alien invasion. They might try and pull it off. They might try some stuff, but I don't think it's going to work out. There'll be people laughing. That's you. We know that's fake, all right, but not all of it. All right, so he's saying humans are fallible. James Cameron, that is, and there have been a lot of mistakes made that have put us right on the brink of international incidents that could have led to nuclear war. So I don't know, he says. Maybe AI could create a Terminator like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Artificially intelligent defense network called Skynet. All right, do we have a Skynet? What's that thing that Elon has? So I don't know. I guess the Ukrainians were using it for a while, and then he like shut them off because he didn't like the Nazis anymore. So the Nazis are up, the Nazis are down. Which side is Elon going to be on tomorrow? Today, Trump is cool with them, and Elon's saying the right things, but what's he going to say tomorrow? All right, Kennedy. Another Kennedy. Is this a good Kennedy? I think so. He's going to make up for all the other bullshit that's been going on. So he says, Secretary RFK Jr. dropped a mega bombshell on Tuesday when he announced that BARDA will be canceling 22 mRNA vaccine development contracts, saving taxpayers about $500 million in the process. This move delivered a major blow to the biomedical industrial complex. So the Nazi medical industrial complex just got hammered. He suggested the COVID-19 shots marketed as safe and effective could, we all know it did, cause the virus to mutate more quickly and extended the pandemic altogether. The mRNA vaccine platform paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. Millions of people, maybe even you or someone you know caught the Omicron variant despite being vaccinated. That's because a single mutation can make mRNA vaccines ineffective. But because your immune system is now compromised and it's only going to fight that one strain of vaccine or virus, then when that virus mutates, you need another vaccine, another mRNA vaccine. And because you're putting all this mRNA vaccines in your body, it's compromising your immune system. It's crowding up your heart, your liver, your blood vessels, and you're going to die, right? Sudden adult death syndrome. SADS. It's all sad, right? Some people don't understand that it's sad because of the vaccine. Just like the SIDS. How many of those poor little infants were probably killed because of vaccines? Probably almost all of them. All right. And now adults are being killed by those vaccines. So now we're still vaccinating children with this disgusting mRNA vaccine. Does not work. And fortunately, we have somebody that's on our side for a change that's shutting them down. So it's a pretty now that they're being shut down, and he's talking about how they're compromising immune systems, causing cancer and all that kind of stuff. Is that going to open up lawsuits? I think so. So that'll destroy a lot of those Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and all those other companies that push that death shot. Abbott's bid to expel the House Democratic leader goes to court filled with his appointees. So 9 judges that he put there, they're all Republican leaning, conservative, and they have this kooky dime, Democrat that was in charge. I guess his name is Lou or Wu, something like that. Woo. So let's see, where is it? It probably says it in here somewhere. Let's play it. Just play it, Mike. Maybe they'll say his name, and then you have to guess. All right, let's go.
Vacated, and as of today, the Supreme Court has dropped the hammer. They are ordering that Wu must respond to Governor Abbott's charges by 3 p.m.
Gene Wu.
So we'll see how things flesh out in the next 24 hours. But let's just say I would not want to be Representative Wu at this time. Meanwhile, as we reported yesterday, the Texas legislature just issued arrest warrants for every single one of these runaway Democrats. And Texas lawmakers are now calling for they want to see an even more punitive redistricting map to be drawn in retaliation against this ridiculous stunt. Here's Texas Representative Brian Harrison.
For every 1 week the Democrats are gone, 1 more Republican seat gets added to the map. So they're gone 1 week. Instead of our new maps having 5 more Republican seats, they're going to have 6. Democrats gone 2 weeks. Well, we went from +5 to +7.
Well, in that case, let's just let them stay away and let's just completely replace all of them. What do you guys think? That sounds fair to me. You don't want to do your job, get somebody else to do it. It's like, who wants to do this job? Republicans raising their hands. All right, you got it. Because they're not here to do it, so we need somebody to do it. All right, you're it. So, yeah, just stay out there. I'm good. All right. So let's look at the silly town stuff. It's pretty disgusting. The American political system is basically showing how completely ineffective and corrupt it is. It needs to go bye-bye. All right. Former staffers say Krokov Shayat, is a diva who terrorizes her staffers, only cares about being an influencer, not a congresswoman. Oh, so what are we doing? We're tearing down her credibility. All right. so that those that are still her supporters are going to slowly start to slink away. So they're not involved with a baddie. All right. So this is the way this is done. We exposed their disgustingness, all of them, Republican and Democrat, and we slowly get them out. All right. So that's what's happening. It's moving that direction. Of course, Florida House launches select committee to look into redistricting. So Florida jumping on the bandwagon. What other state is going to do the same? So, of course, we have the Democrats don't like that in Florida either. Right? Not good. Florida Republican leadership are launching a select committee on congressional redistricting to redraw and gerrymander maps again. We will do everything we can to push back. Are you guys going to leave too? All right. That'll be good. All right. So that's last time this was done was 2020-2022 term. And Governor Ron DeSantis said he's looking very seriously at having a new congressional map in the state. I've said that I would look favorably on the legislature taking it up. And of course, the legislature is mostly Republican. I would stay tuned on that. The Democrats need to go away, and they're going to be taken away, like these two Democrats. Bill and Hillary Clinton are looking at jail time if they defy Epstein's subpoena. So it's all starting to close in on all these criminals, right? And that Hillary and Bill Clinton look alike, they're going to go to jail, right? So lookalikes, that's good. After years of smoke and mirrors, the former president and secretary of state have finally come under the harsh spotlight of congressional scrutiny, thanks to their troubling association with notorious financier Jeffrey Epstein. Congress has now subpoenaed both Clintons, demanding they answer tough questions about their connections to Epstein. So they've been through this before. Whitewater should have taken him down. It didn't. Will this be the thing? Okay. President Trump announced his replacement for vacancy on the Federal Reserve Board. Not the one we like, but one of the governors is resigning. And he's going to replace them with somebody that's good. All right. So slowly but surely. Now, I've said this for a long time, that the FBI and the CIA are going to go away. And it looks like it's moving in that direction. FBI is firing senior officials and agents who oppose President Trump. So if you turn the FBI into a political cancerous machine, we have to cut it out, because that's what we do with cancer. We cut it out, right? So they're going to get cut out. They're going to get cut away. Bye-bye. All right. So nothing new. That's all good. So much good stuff. It's so good to be a reporter in these times. All right. All right. So now we're having basically ICE they're forming a military group, which is taking out these people that want to destroy America and have been destroying America, causing a lot of problems. So this is a good thing. So let's look at this. Wow. Hard to believe, we're living in these times, but here we go. We've talked about it. We talked about how the military was going to have to get involved, but they're making a military, and it's called ICE. So that way they can get around with knocking the hell out of these people. Whoop, that's not the one. That's the one I want to show you in a little bit. All right. Share screen. Make sure I got the right one. Here we go. All right. Jesse Waters. Watch the water.
A Mexican gang member just got iced after he re-entered the country at least 4 times. And 3 Biden migrants just got iced after murdering a man at a Motel 6. 2 of them came in using Biden's open table app for illegal, and the other was just caught and released into the country. These killers would still be on the streets if it weren't for our brave ICE agents. One of their latest recruits, Superman himself, Dean Cain, joins me now. All right, so this is kind of...
So there you go. Superman is going to be an ICE agent. So what else? Who else you going to get?
a big deal for you and your career. What are you going to be doing at ICE?
Well, let me go back a minute here, Jesse. This is all your fault, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll explain why. Well, because I put out a recruitment video yesterday. I'm actually a deputy sheriff, a sworn deputy sheriff, and a reserve police officer. I wasn't part of ICE. But once I put that out there and you put a little blurb on your show, it went crazy. So now I've spoken with some officials over at ICE, and I will be sworn in as an ICE agent ASAP. So they'll have 80,001 recruits for their 10,000 positions.
Well, they can't have a better guy than Dean Cain. Are you going to be hopping out of ICE vans and apprehending guys?
I will do whatever Director Lyons wants me to do. If that's what it takes, absolutely. I somehow doubt I'll be in that position, but I would be there in a heartbeat. These brave men and women need someone to stand up for them. So rarely, these days are we seeing that. Someone like Daniel Penny stands up, he gets vilified. Dan Bongino steps up, gives up $5 million a year, and goes and takes his position at the FBI. This is the kind of thing where people have to step up. I'm stepping up. Hopefully, a whole bunch of other former officers, former ICE agents will step up, and we'll meet those recruitment goals immediately, and we'll help protect this country.
Are you going to take the $50,000 bonus, Dean?
I don't think I'm going to be eligible for that one. I don't think they're going to give it to me.
Okay.
But in true Pocahontas fashion, absolutely.
Now, I mean, you talk about bravery. We just had Big Balls saved a young woman past midnight. He got pummeled by like 10 gang members. But the girl got off safely, but that's kind of what it takes. What does this country need? Because we're hearing 80,000 applications for 10,000 openings. What is it about serving this country that's inspiring to you?
It always has been for me. It's the reason I became a police officer during that time when everyone was trying to defund the police. That's when I stepped up and joined, because it makes no sense to me. It's totally insane. And this country was built on patriots stepping up, whether it was popular or not, and doing the right thing. I truly believe this is the right thing.
Absolutely. And people were probably going to want to call him a hero, but he's just doing the right thing, like he says. So I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm just trying to do the right thing. And every other man in America should be doing the same thing. Just do the right thing. It'll make a huge difference going forward, right? So in Antarctica. So I believe that we used to have a dome around the earth, and it was protective, and it created Eden, right? And then there was a war and a control for the earth during the Atlantean times, and it was shattered, and then that dome went to the polar regions. Now, there's an ancient river landscape preserved beneath the East Antarctic ice sheet. They're saying it's 34 million years old. I don't think so. All right. So let's look at this. So this is the way, through ground penetrating radar, because they're taking into account the long glaciation. Now, if you take into account my idea of when there was a dome, ether dome, and that was collapsed, then it's only maybe 12 to 15,000 years ago, and I believe that's what it is. Extensive fluvial surfaces at the East Antarctica margin have modulated ice sheet evolution. So they have all these pictures and graphs and what they believe this is. and it's fascinating. So seems like they're finding where the Nazis went. Right? So the Nazis went into Antarctica. We've heard about that, and they were able to exist in an area where, it wasn't that bad, right? Underground caverns and all kind of stuff that had been preserved, since the last ice age started. So that's like 12, 15,000 years ago. And then it ended abruptly, started abruptly, I believe, and then ended abruptly, all kind of crazy stuff. So anyway, the earthquake situation is getting pretty intense. We have all kinds of energy coming off the sun, and the electrical energy coming off the sun is what's really going to cause these earthquakes and volcanoes to go off. Russia has, I think, like 7 new volcanoes that are going off. One of them hasn't gone off, and I think another one's getting ready to go off. And one of them is like 600 years since it went off. And there's one, I think, in Alaska that's about to go off. 25,000 years was the last time it went off. So the earth is being awakened. Now look at the earthquake clusters. This, of course, is in Russia, where the 8.8 was. And then Alaska, and you continue down, and look what's going on in California. California is getting pretty intense all along the San Andreas Fault. Let's zoom in a little bit. Now, the volcanic activity, I believe, is going to start up here in Washington. We'll probably have that one kick off up here in Alaska. There was an earthquake next to that 25,000-year-old volcano, and I think it's just going to start to travel down into America. So as we know, Mount Rainier has been very active. Now, if we move into, around the Seattle and down into the rest of Washington, down into Oregon, we're having this type of trail. So on either side right here, this is an earthquake and an earthquake on either side of a fairly significant one on either side of Mount Rainier. And then we can see, like I've talked about, the lava tunnels going down into other volcanoes. So that's what's going on right now. So I think we're getting close to having volcanoes go off in the contiguous United States. We're very close to that. All right. Now, New York. Apocalypse. Hidden in plain sight. Let's look at. So they built this cathedral in New York. And it's St. John. Remember, St. John was the one that wrote about the apocalypse. Well, they started putting apocalyptic stuff on the columns. So we're going to zoom in on one of those. So you see right here is a Brooklyn Bridge, basically splitting, kind of like a earthquake, and falling into the water. This bus is falling into the waters. Of course, we've had, the Twin Towers. So look, and the buildings falling down around the Twin Towers. So somebody's predicting, and one of those predictions is a great big earthquake with flooding so high that goes over some of the skyscrapers. That's pretty big. That must be a tsunami, right? So I think that this month is going to be some earthquake, some serious earthquake activity, probably within the next few days towards the end of the month, the dog days of summer, right? Through the 12th. So from tomorrow through the 12th, tomorrow is the Lion's Gate 88, the infinity symbol. Some people have said tomorrow is going to be a very important day that will live in infamy. I don't think so. I think it's further down into the month. We'll see, though. I mean, maybe tomorrow something happens, but I don't see anything. But I do see some stuff that's very troubling in the rest of August, towards the end of middle to the end of August. Now, at the end of the year, probably November, December timeframe, I see even more activity, very significant activity. So now you might remember that I said there was going to be the middle of the U.S., and I said this, of course, a long time ago, almost a year ago. I started making predictions for this following year. I said that the middle of the country would be dry and there would be fires, and we're seeing that. So we're seeing significant fires. It hasn't really traveled over yet. Now, when we're having all those 1,000-year floods, I was like, I don't know. I was accurate on that one. But now it is, sometimes I doubt myself and I think I'm wrong, but I'm not. So, but I get, you just got to trust, when you're in the zone, you just like have this stuff come through. It's like, okay, just trust. It'll probably work out. Might not work out when you think it is, but pretty significant what I saw, right? So lots of fires in the middle. We're having the fires, massive fires. Some of the biggest fires ever in certain areas, Arizona. So lots of quakey wakey. Yeah, you get. I have visions where I'm shaking here. So whatever happens in California shakes all the way over here into Nevada, right? So it's going to be a biggie. All right, but it's not going to kill everybody. It's going to kill a lot of people, but not everybody. So if you're living in California, just stay intuitive, right? And listen to your intuition. Don't blow it off. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Lots of love. It's a tough one today. The presidents, and sex slaves and assassin controlled people, and gosh, it's tough. It's tough for me to view this stuff because I see this stuff literally in some occasions when I remote view it. And then I'm like, I got to talk about this, and that's the way, we become more informed, and then we can't be taken advantage of. That's what we want going forward. Because if they take advantage of us, we end up like COVID-19, and then they have like this alien invasion, and we got like ETs are coming to help us, but they say they're evil, and everybody's like, oh, those damn aliens, and they're here to help us, and that's the way they do these things. The good guys, they destroy them. I've been destroyed, but I came back fortunately. And but some people don't. They never come back. They either kill them, they destroy them, and they're just wipe them out. It's sad. All right, so thanks to you guys, I've been able to maintain and keep the show going, even though they constantly try to interrupt it. I guess, but we know the areas where they're very sensitive about, and that was up there around the presidents. They didn't like that being revealed. They're sex slaves, all right? So that was obviously a big reveal, all right? And so be aware that stuff is still going on, guys. So when they do the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, it's like, oh, we exposed it. P. Diddy, yeah, they can't do that stuff anymore. Now we're on to them. Oh yeah. You go all the way back to Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner was doing it, right? And all the way up to Epstein and P. Diddy. Epstein was gone, and P. Diddy was still doing it. White parties, and everybody's going to him. And then somebody talked. One of his girlfriends said, he raped me. And then other people stood up and said, yeah, me too. And me too. And me 3. And me 5. And then he goes to trial in Manhattan and they throw it out. So, yeah, kind of the way that works. All right. Much joy to all, especially Jaco. I like that, Carol. So, much joy back to you guys. Yeah, I enjoy doing these shows. I enjoy the interaction with you guys. So thank you guys. Lots of love to you. Watch out for your families. Things are going to cray. Don't be fearful. Stay in the love vibration and you'll be guided.